You're listening to Popcorn Unscripted,
the podcast where we dive into movies and TV shows with no scripts, no filters, just real talk and plenty of popcorn.
I'm Bailey.
And I'm Dylan.
We're here to talk about everything we love
And love to hate
in pop culture. So grab your popcorn,
sit back,
and let's get this show started. Okay, real talk. If someone walked up to me and said, "Hey, remember that 90s show with the armored bug teens and a haunted mansion run by a ghost who dressed like Elvis?" I'd assume I hallucinated, but nope, it's real. It's Big Bad Beetleborgs, and it's time to talk about it. Welcome to episode 41. Now, I chose Big Bad Beetleborgs because I've been watching it a lot recently. It is currently on Tubi for free. Both seasons are Big Bad Beetleborgs and Big Bad Beetleborgs Metallics. And I'm going to be frank with you. We're going to try to go over both seasons, but then again, I know Beetleborgs Metallics didn't really do so well, which is why I think the show got canceled, if I remember correctly. But I absolutely loved and adored this, because this show was made by the same people that made Power Rangers, which is Saban. This was like a spin-off series that was similar to Power Rangers, but it was like three kids that had become superheroes by a magical ghost who gave them superpowers from comic books, which was really cool because I liked comic books as well. I ended up having not the Revenge of Shadowborg, something about Shadowborg, like movie tape, and I wore that thing out. But I absolutely adored Big Bad Beetleborgs as a kid. Flabber is probably my favorite character out of them. This show is an absolute hit, for me, for sure. So, I did mention that this was also the same people that made, Power Rangers. It does not stack up against Power Rangers, though. Power Rangers definitely takes the cake more than Beetleborgs, but Beetleborgs, to me, has more nostalgia than Power Rangers. It's kind of weird how that works, because you also have other Power Rangers spin-offs such as VR Troopers and Masked Rider. But yeah, the most thing I remember, I mostly remember season 1. Season 2, which is Metallics, I don't really remember. I've watched like a few episodes of that season, of the beginning of that season, but other than that, I honestly think it was kind of a fail due to where the story went after they defeated the Magnivores. But yeah, it's not the best. Yeah, it's not the best. But Flabber is again my favorite character because he's a silly ghost who's impersonating Elvis, and you know, I grew up with Elvis, so it's kind of like, you know, you kind of have to love Flabber. You kind of have to love it. And also, the theme song's amazing. Like, it gets stuck in my head every once in a while because it's so good. But basically, this show is basically if Scooby-Doo, Kiss, and Power Rangers had a glittery bug baby. Is probably a good way to describe it, I guess. I don't know. You guys can let me know in the comments, but yeah, the Beetleborg armor is also amazing. I loved the armor in this series. Of course, my favorite being the blue Beetleborg, but then again, blue is my favorite color, so that's like obvious. But yeah, this is absolutely incredible. So basically, here's the premise. 3 kids accidentally released a ghost genie who grants them a wish to become their favorite comic book heroes, and then chaos ensues, because by doing that, it also releases the Magnivores into the world, because in order to have good, you have to have evil in order to fight back against the good. I don't really remember. It's been a while since I've watched the first couple of episodes of the first season, but that's essentially how it goes. Is that happens. And so, some of the first key elements, Flabber, which is the Elvis ghost genie. Flabber's just Flabber. He's just a silly character that, I can't really describe him. His name kind of says it all, if I'm going to be honest. And then you have, like, the Beetleborgs base, essentially, which is the Hillhurst Mansion, which is the Haunted Mansion. And you have you have all the four monsters. You have, Count Dracula. Or, no, not Count Dracula, it's Count Fangula. Count Fangula. And then you had Mums, which is a mummy. And then, you have three at first. Wolfie doesn't come until later on into the season. But you also have Wolfie, and then you have Frankenbeans. I love Frankenbeans. Frankenbeans is probably my favorite monster, aside from Wolfie. I do like Wolfie, though. And then you have the Magnivores as well, which is the comic book villains that escape into the real world, along with Flabber giving the kids their Beetleborg powers. So, yeah, and then you have the Beetleborg powers and transformation, which, of course, with this show being made, I think, in the late 90s, early 2000s, around the same time Power Rangers was coming out still. Power Rangers was always coming out at least once a year, but that's besides the point. It was coming out, I don't know around what time. I want to say late 90s, early 2000s, is when it was coming out. Yeah, and it's just a bizarre blend of comedy and sci-fi. Not necessarily horror, because there was nothing really scary about this show at all, aside from the monsters. Unless you were just really scared of monsters. It's really not a scary show at all. It's really just a blend of comedy and sci-fi, if I'm going to be honest with you. But this show was just certainly unique. It was just a unique show. It was something different other than Power Rangers. It was just something different other than Power Rangers. And honestly, I'm sad that this show had ended up getting canceled, because honestly, with the way the show went after season 1, I can kind of understand why this show got canceled after Beetleborgs Metallics. Because after that, I was just like, no, I don't care anymore. I'm gonna go back to watch Shadowborg again. Now, I'm gonna talk about that specifically. So the tape movie that I have is about Shadowborg. It's those few episodes where the Magnivores make Shadowborg and try to take their powers, and then bring back they bring in the White Beetleborg. Is when they bring in Josh and stuff. So that's when all of that kind of happens. That's the bit I remember, because I watched that movie over and over and over and over again. Like, you can ask my mom. Like, I was watching it like every other day, more than likely. I think I watched it as much as I watched the musicals, like The Wizard of Oz and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I think I watched them just about as much as I watched those. But yeah, this was certainly an interesting show. So going to break down the heroes and powers. So you have the three main kids, which is Drew, Joe, and Roland. Drew and Joe are brother and sister, and then their friend Roland, his dad owns the comic book shop Zoom Comics, in the town that they are in. And their Beetleborg forms are the Blue Stinger Borg, the Red Striker Borg, and the Green Hunter Borg. Drew was blue, Joe was red, Roland was green. I absolutely loved the designs of them because, let's see, blue, I'm not really sure what kind of beetle they were. I know Joe was like a ladybug, but, yeah, I know, not really a beetle, but yeah. Drew and Roland, I don't know what kind of beetles they were though. I don't know off the top of my head, but I absolutely loved the suit designs and the weapons that they had. It They were just so unique. Like you couldn't beat, like it was just incredible. I loved the red, green, and blue. I just loved those suits a lot. Because it was just something different than Power Rangers. It was just something different. And I think that's why I love it so much, is because it's just so different from Power Rangers. I don't really know why, but it just is. It's just, it's just different. And I love them very, very much. I do enjoy the transformation as well. I do like the way they bring out their morpher, which is like Beetle Bonders, Beetle Blast, It's just cool. I just think it's cool. And I also like the look of their morpher too. They don't call it a morpher, it's called a Beetle Bonder. But I do enjoy the design of the morpher too, because it is unique to the Beetleborg as well. Like the stem that comes out of the morpher itself is unique to the Beetleborg as well, which is great attention to detail. But yeah, this series is just amazing. I love it to bits. I love it just as much as I love Power Rangers, if I'm going to be completely honest. And I honestly, if they were to do a reboot of this, I generally think they could do better. Because it's actually really funny, because with the Wild Force Power Rangers, there is the Forever Red episode. 2 of those costumes that are in that episode are from Beetleborgs. They used the Shadowborg costume and the Green Hunterborg costume for 2 of the villains in that episode, which was really, really cool that they reused costumes for that episode. I think it's really cool. But then again, they're both made by the same people, so they're allowed to do that. But it's just really cool to see those in a Power Rangers episode and being like, hey, those are Beetleborgs. I know where that's from. And it's cool. It's just look. The suits are sick. I don't care how old I get. I still want that blue Stinger armor. I desperately want it. It's a need. It's forever a need, guys. It's forever a need. Ever a need. So let's get to the monsters and the mansion crew. Flabber, who's part genius, part Elvis, part Jim Carrey and Overdrive. I can see that for sure. Flabber is just, he's like, I don't even know. He is definitely Jim Carrey on steroids. The actor that plays him is absolutely incredible. I honestly think he may have had a bit too much fun playing Flabber, but Flabber is supposed to be fun. And he kind of helps them figure out things, and he helps them get these villains back into the comics. It's kind of hard to explain Flabber without trying to show you, because Flabber is just Flabber. He, like, you could just tell by his name that he's just odd. But that's besides the point. So then we get into the house monsters. We are first introduced to Frankenbeans, Mums, and Count Fangula. We don't see Wolfie until maybe episode 5 or 6, where he comes to Charterville from Transylvania. He comes to like visit, and the other monsters are just like, you could stay, like you just stay, because he was just visiting for a time. I don't know why. I don't remember why he was visiting, but he was. But that's why he ultimately ended up staying there at Hillhurst, and such. So there's that. And then we could get into the villains. Now the villains we have is Vexor, which is the main villain of the series. And then you have Noxic, Tryphus, and Jara. Don't ask me which one's which, because I never did bother to learn their names. I want to say, because there's one that's like it's chick. She has like a weird like porcelain face looks like, and she wears all red, and she kind of looks like Lord Farquaad. Now that I'm thinking about it, she kind of has like Lord Farquaad's look to her. And then one of them has, like, he wears green and he has purple, and the top of his head is also a mouth. And then one of them wears all white, and he's got like almost like what do you call it, dreads, in a way, like robotic looking dreads. But yeah, all of them are really cool. But I think I like those three monsters because they get really into the human world, mainly because they go steal donuts. They do like the pettiest things. Like, they're not even real villains. I wouldn't consider them real villains. They don't even try to terrorize. They just annoy people, in all honesty. Like, that's just what they do, I think. But getting down to it, this show straight up had a Universal Monsters sitcom happening in the background, and nobody batted their eye. Like, for sure. It was just, the monsters are always doing something, and it's just super, super funny, and it will forever be that way. Forever be that way. And I will never want it to change whatsoever. But getting into the tone and style and 90s energy, this show is pure 90s chaos, practical suits, stock footage battles, and jokes that make no sense, but they still slap to this day. So, this show certainly has, like, the comic book aesthetic, which I also think is why I love and adore this show quite a bit. Because I think at the time I was about to get into Marvel, maybe, but I would watch this, like, all the time, though, when I was younger. I would watch the Shadowborg stuff all the time. Every time that I could, I would. But there's that, and then you have the over-the-top humor. That's mainly Flabber. Flabber's mostly the over-the-top humor for the show, but without Flabber, I don't think you would have Beetleborgs, if I'm going to be completely honest. And then you have the cheap special effects, but again, it's the 90s. You can't expect much from the 90s, if I'm going to be completely honest. You can't expect a whole lot. The same goes for, like, older Power Rangers versions. Especially since they did several seasons of Mighty Morphin. You can't, like, you can't get any better than you could back then. Although for a show like that, they did fairly well, and everything fit together fairly well as well. And how it feels to watch now as an adult, it's nostalgic to watch as an adult now. Like, I could just leave it on in the background and just go do whatever. It's just something I can turn on. I can tune into it and feel nostalgia, and I can tune out of it. It's just one of those shows for me, and I will forever and ever adore it. And so, yeah, this show will always hold a special place in my heart, by far. So, I want to talk specifically about the Shadowborg stuff, because that's what I mostly remember from the first season. So, first you have Vexor. He creates Shadowborg to take away the morphing powers of the kids. And he ultimately does, and he wears them across his chest. And so he then terrorizes Charterville. It's a whole thing. I've watched this so many times. Like, it's kind of hard to explain it, how it all goes, because I've watched it so many times. But I digress. So you have them doing you have Shadowborg, and he's terrorizing Charterville, And of course, these kids don't have their power, so therefore, they end up having to go to the Beetleborgs creator, Art Fortunes. And that is when they bring Art Fortunes to Hillhurst and try to get him to help, because they desperately need his help. So he comes up with the White Blaster Beetleborg. And therefore, and then they have to find a body for Flabber to put the powers onto. And so they suggest a kid named Josh Baldwin. Now, he had just moved to Charterville. And so Drew does not like him because he has been moving on his girl that he liked. And he didn't like that very much, and so he's learned to not like Josh a whole lot. So there's that. And so Drew at first was refusing, but of course Roland and Joe gave him some really good points, and he was like, you know what, fine, I'll do it. I'll ask him, he kind of relented. And so they go and get Josh, and of course Josh is just like, I don't believe you, you're just a bunch of dumb kids, but they end up bringing him back to Hillhurst, and they explain what's going on, and ultimately he becomes the White Blaster Beetleborg. And so Shadowborg shows up at Hillhurst. He steps out, Josh and him fight, and ultimately he gets flung onto the steps, and Shadowborg is forced to come back by Vexor, and he's like, you have not seen the last of Shadowborg. And then Josh deborgs, or whatever, and he thinks that he didn't steal the power gems or he didn't get their powers back. But he opens his hand, and there are 3 power gems. And so everybody has their powers. Shadowborg is still at large, and everything is still going on. Everything is still happening, as far as we're concerned. Everything is still going on. Everything is still happening. And so they go on. They keep fighting. They keep losing, more so. They keep losing. And then the final battle comes. And here's the thing about the White Blaster Beetleborg. He was made to simply destroy Shadowborg. He was made to destroy Shadowborg, whereas Shadowborg was made to destroy the Beetleborgs. So if Shadowborg is destroyed, so is the White Blaster Beetleborg powers, because that's what he was made for, and that would be the end of his run. And so that's ultimately what happens. Drew ends up destroying Shadowborg, and then Vexor makes his grand entrance, and Drew ends up taking him, Drew, Joe, and Roland ends up taking him down as well, thinking they destroyed him, but rather they did not. They did not destroy him. I'm still rather confused what happens to him afterwards. I've been trying to find the episodes where afterwards, but I think he just goes into hiding and tries to get his powers back, I think, maybe? I'm not entirely sure what happens. But yeah. So these are like the best set. It's like there's 5 episodes. And they kind of try to chop it up, and so I'm pretty sure that's how the movie starts, though. I'm not entirely sure. I'll have to go watch the VHS tape and see what's all in it, because I think it's at least over an hour. At least. I think it's at least an hour and 30. So, if 5 episodes is like a little over 20 minutes a piece, 25 minutes a piece, maybe 22 minutes a piece, that'd probably be right. But I don't I don't know, because they actually, the way they blended the episodes together for like the movie, because they would do that with some of the Power Rangers stuff too. They would just take the episodes and just like put it into like a movie format, like edit it into like a movie format so it flows better. So there are some scenes, like if you were to go watch the actual full-length episodes, there are some scenes that are in the episodes that are actually not in the movie, which I think is still cool, but at the same time, I'm like, why though? Why did you take these out? These are like, this is cool. Like, this shows them bonding with Josh and stuff, you know? And I'm just like, whatever, man, whatever. You know, it's fine. Do good. So, does it hold up, or is it just nostalgia? I think the first season holds up pretty well as Power Rangers does. As for Beetleborgs Metallics, I don't think it holds up very well, considering where the story went after the first season. Keep in mind, the first season is 56 episodes. Yeah, the first season went on for a while, but that's besides the point. But it's a bit of both. It holds up, but it's also nostalgia, not just for me, but I'm sure it's for others. To me, like I still have a great time watching it. If I'm going to be completely honest, I still have a great time. The show's humor doesn't really land for me anymore. But I think like the humor is just its charm. It's just a charming show in and of itself. The story kind of makes sense if you put together the episodes that move the story forward instead of character building episodes, because you have like story driven episodes and then you have the character building episodes. And you know, I think that's why there's that's why there's 56 episodes, because you have the character building episodes and then you have the episodes that actually move the story along, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So you have that, and I definitely don't think it works as good now as it did when I was a kid, although I still enjoy it. While I still enjoy it, I don't think, if you were to remake this, I think people would remake this to be a lot better than it was in the 90s, for sure. But yeah. I highly recommend it to watch at least once, especially if you love Power Rangers and you've never heard of Big Bad Beetleborgs. I highly recommend you try it at least. At least watch the first 5 episodes to give it a chance. Because it's great. And also watch it for chaos, because Flabber is just absolute chaos, and I love Flabber a lot. I love it. Like, the first episode is like pure gold. It just sets up the rest of the season, and it's absolutely incredible. Big Bad Beetleborgs may not have been perfect, but it certainly was not boring whatsoever. So, before I ask you your questions, I'm going to get into a little bit of announcements. So, my uploading schedule is going to change. So, I won't be uploading on Wednesdays and Saturdays anymore. I've noticed that that's not really the best times to upload. Well, Wednesday's not bad, but Saturday is probably one of the worst days to upload. So I'm going to be moving my days to upload on Mondays and Fridays, and we're going to see how that goes, and stuff. So we'll see what happens with that. I think some other things are going to change as well, just give or take. Like, changes are coming, and I will be experimenting with some stuff, I think. I'm not exactly sure what else is going to change, but that was the main thing, is I wanted to say that my upload schedule is going to change. So I'm going to start uploading on Mondays and Fridays, rather than uploading on Wednesdays and Saturdays, which is like the 2 oddest days of the week I could upload. And I think it would cause me less stress if I did it that way too. And I genuinely think there's going to be more solo episodes, at least for the time being, until I can get some more people scheduled to do more interviews and stuff. But yeah, so that's really all I've got. So here are your questions. Did you watch Beetleborgs growing up, or was this your first time? Who is your favorite Hillhurst monster, or which Beetleborg suit is your favorite? Or do you want a gritty reboot of the show? Because honestly, I kind of do. I think it would be cool because I mean everything else is getting rebooted, so why the heck not? Why not try to give this a go? If I'm going to be completely honest, I genuinely think it could do well, especially with people getting back into Power Rangers and stuff. I genuinely think it could possibly do well. But yeah. That's all for today's episode of Popcorn Unscripted.
Thanks so much for tuning in.
If you enjoyed the conversation, be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at PopUnscripted, then Popcorn Cinema on Facebook.
And let us know your thoughts or any suggestions for future episodes. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future episodes. We upload every Wednesday and Saturday.
If you'd like to send us a message or subscribe for bonus content, check out the links in the description.
Your support means a lot and helps keep the conversation going.
If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to leave us a review. It helps us out a ton, and we love hearing your thoughts.
Until next time, keep your popcorn close
and your movie critiques closer.
Thanks for listening to Popcorn Unscripted.